And we're back, and we're talking with Katie and Chris, and we want to find out how big is the money pie, and is it big enough in this 2018 gubernatorial primary on the Republican side? We can talk about the Democrats again a little bit later, but right now we have some movement on the Republican side, and so I want to focus there. We've got DeSantis, and we've got Putnam already in, and we've got Corcoran being talked about quite a bit. Is there enough money, and I'll throw it to you, Katie, to support three of these guys, all trying to raise money from a lot of the same sources?
Sure, absolutely. I think, Chris made a point earlier, and I think he's 100% dead on, which,
This time, because he...
I agree, this time.
Sorry.
That's right. But
It never stops.
But it is astounding how much capital different interests put into politics, and
Right.
it does continue to grow. So I think, there's certainly enough support out there to support all three candidates. And, keep in mind, all we're talking about is the Republican side of things.
Right.
So we haven't even yet really got into, who might be on the Democrat end and what kind of support that person may or may not, garner and resources that they may have. So, I think that the sky's the limit.
Okay, so financially, it's not a factor, you're telling me. What does that say about Richard Corcoran's decision-making then? As he comes out of legislative session, which now we only have, less than 60 days now, and he's going to be making a decision about whether he gets in the race. So you're telling me there's plenty of money. I guess the next question is, are there enough votes for him to be viable with DeSantis sort of trying to occupy the same lane? Does he run? That's the real question.
Right. Well, I think the speaker is not permitted to fundraise during session.
He's locked up
so
right now.
For the next 2 months, roughly, he's not going to be in a position to garner financial support. But what he can do, and where he is at an advantage, is get headlines on what his legislative priorities are. And we know that he has already made a lot of pretty bold statements on things that he wants to see the House pass and pass very quickly, as in this week and next week.
Right.
Some big priority items relating to insurance and business development and transparency and safety.
So all things that check a lot of boxes for Republican voters.
Exactly. So I think, we'll see as the session develops.
So you're not going to make a prediction right now because you don't want to be on camera later?
I think he will.
There we go. We've got her on. We've locked that down, Sam. We've got Katie now. We'll play it regardless of whether you're right or wrong, and much to your chagrin if she's right.
This time I'm going to agree with Katie and probably be wrong. But I think he runs too. I think, as we've talked about before, Richard is pretty passionate about public service. I mean, he loves talking about issues. He loves these debates up here. He loves moving the needle. I agree. The money thing is difficult, so he'll have a 60-day hiatus. But I think he'll be kind of, raring to go when session ends. And I think it's kind of passionate for him to run. I don't think any of the other three statewide offices really motivate him the way Governor does.
Thank you very much for that, Chris. Katie, your expertise, both of you, is going to be called upon heavily over the next several weeks as we get into this legislative session and really rely on you guys to tell us who's winning, who's losing, and what we can expect next. We'll be right back after this.